Good morning, everyone. I want to welcome all of you to the Board of Los Angeles County Commissioners' regular meeting. Today is February 6th. It's 9 a.m. We're going to call the meeting to order. Please rise for an invocation by Commissioner Tony Haas, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Luis Lopez.
Lord, thank you for this new day. Thank you for the gift of life. We pray for your forgiveness, protection, and guidance. Bless our loved ones and heal our ailments. We ask this all of you, Holy Father. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, Mr. Gromkamp.
Commissioner Hess.
Here.
Commissioner Luis Lopez. Commissioner Felix Lopez.
Here. Approval of the agenda. Do we have any changes to the agenda?
No changes, Commissioner.
Thank you, sir. I'll entertain a motion.
Move for approval of the agenda.
Second motion?
Commissioner Luis Lopez.
Yes.
Commissioner Hess.
Yes.
Commissioner Felix Lopez.
Yes. To section 3, reading of correspondence. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Consideration of minutes. Regular meeting minutes as of January 16, 2024. Commissioners, we read that. We have those minutes. Are there any questions, discussion? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion.
Chairman, I would move we group all three regular meetings and special meetings together, January 16th, January 19th, and January 30th, 2024. I had the opportunity to read it, had no objections. But this time I would make the motion to approve all three, January 16th, January 19th, and January 30th.
Second the motion.
Commissioner Hess.
Yes.
Commissioner Luis Lopez.
Yes.
Commissioner Felix Lopez.
Yes, thank you. Let's go now to the reading of correspondence. Commissioner committee reports. Commissioner Luis Lopez, would you like to go first?
Thank you, Chairman. It's been a busy time frame in the past couple of weeks. We've had a lot of meetings going on. Start off with the Board of Health that we had recently. There's a lot of information to get out. We finally had our first in-person meeting that we haven't had since COVID, the beginning of COVID, so it was nice to be able to do that at our health department. And we also, it was a hybrid as well, so we were able to do that as well. Moving forward with communicable diseases, the COVID, of course, is still prevalent in our community as well as nationwide. Our uptake in our sewage wastewater is where it is seen quite a bit in our monitoring through the health department and moving forward. But there's a lot of other projects that the health department is working on, including the combating of tobacco issues. That's going to be at the forefront right now. Tobacco and vaping is a high priority for public health due to the popcorn lung issues that are happening in the vaping as well. It's just it's a vicious cycle with that tobacco, and I was I partaken in it over 17 years ago as well. I was a tobacco user. Thank goodness I was able to kick that habit. And hopefully we can educate our community and our youth to avoid and abstain from abusing that product. Officers were elected, having the vacancy of our office, like Mrs. Donoghue, who passed away, and the officers selected were Ray King as president and Sherry Patrick as vice president for the Board of Health and for this year. I made the recommendation that we continue electing officers on an annual basis through motion, so we can have additional board members taking that position so they can learn better with dealing with the director on those issues, since we only meet every 2 months. So that was taken into consideration and was approved. So every year on an annual basis, there will be new election of officers in those capacities. So basically, hopefully it'll be through succession from vice president to president and bring somebody else underneath, so they can learn, because there's so much in public health that you really just can't learn as an outside board member unless you're really in the weeds as a city council member or county commissioner that deals with it on a regular basis. So moving forward from that, on the 25th of January, we had the CDOT Transportation Planning Region meeting in North County. A lot happening with our projects and updates. There was a lot of concern regarding a special meeting that was held with Cellpace, Jay Chimino, City Manager Steve Gruber, and CDOT CDOT's executive director for Shoshana Liu in Denver, which is regarding our exit 14 here in Trinidad. There was some discussion, and basically, after hearing conversations, it was a listening session for this developer's concerns regarding that exit. I had some concerns regarding their topic of discussion without including the TPR planning region group, which will be consisting of the city of Trinidad, city of Walsenburg, Los Angeles, Moreno County, in their discussions moving forward in the 5 and 10-year plan with the money that's allocated. There's a $5 million allocation for that exit, or to be maneuvered however we see fit at this level. It is not to go above, in my opinion, the Region 2 directors and CDOT's planning organization with Jennifer Sparks and the elected officials of this community. And that was heard very well, and it was taken very well. So I think the results of that will be moving forward, that it will stay at the local level for local control regarding that investment of that money and how we spend it. The other big topic of discussion was the planning and merging of Southeastern TPR, Transportation Planning Region, and the South Central. And it is in the hands of the Transportation Commission. Terry Hart was on the meeting, who was on the Transportation Commission, and he alerted everyone on the call to please sign up to give testimony once again, or send letters, and we'll be up to this board at this time to make a decision if we want to write another letter, which we've already done so. I believe the city of Trinidad has taken a position, according to Mayor Grego, and they will be opposing that merger as well now publicly and through a resolution. So we are still fighting for that voice here, and the purpose of that is we do not lose two voices down here in Southern Colorado and give another voice, lose one voice, and merging two regions together and allowing a second voice for the Transportation Commission through the State Transportation Authority Committee in the mountain region. So a lot of other updates were given at that meeting regarding projects throughout the county, Southern Colorado and our district on main multiple roads. And I'm sure that'd be a part of that. We have a lot of great information, and I appreciate the support of my fellow commissioners for being on this call with me. On the 26th, the Front Range Passenger Rail Board met, and after some lengthy discussion, there was some of the housekeeping was averted at this point in time due to some appointments not confirmed yet to the board, which there were staggered terms at the beginning of this inception of this organization of 2 years and 4 years. And many of the 2-year terms were up now in February, which would include mine. I'm glad to say at the Council of Governments meeting prior to that, I was reappointed to the Front Range Passenger Rail for a 4-year term. And I look forward to serving this community and Moreno County in that capacity in years to come. However, due to the lack of other confirmations throughout the state, the appointment of the officers of the organization was postponed until the next board meeting. A few of the governor appointees have not been reappointed at this point in time, and it was tabled to move forward. After that conversation, after that meeting happened, I had a lot of phone calls from the board members requesting if I would be in opposition of any nominations for myself to be the appointed or nominated treasurer of the organization, and I would not be opposed to doing so. So we'll see what happens. I could possibly be sitting in an officer role after the next board meeting, which would give us an extra little bit of clout and position here for Los Angeles and Moreno County regarding that Front Range Rail and protecting our citizens from eminent domain, and also from making sure that we are not taxed without representation or any type of issues that may come about with the upcoming ballot measure that is being investigated right now. This would be a lot to oversee, so I would probably need a lot of help from my fellow folks here in the room, and especially with the CFO here and the finance officer over there. But $2 billion is a lot to oversee, and I would need all the help I can if so appointed. The following week, the Front Range Rail Finance Committee met. We have talked with our consultants, Ernst Young, and they're moving forward with the tallying of all of the rail expenditures, and compiling all of the information that we're going to need to be a concise ballot measure moving forward. There's a lot of discussion going on regarding taper up and down the corridor of how we will overcome some of those issues, and also the sales and use tax if collected in. And I want to thank our Finance Director, Coberly, for bringing some of those issues to our forefront here in Los Angeles County regarding some of the use tax and sales tax for construction materials that are imported outside of our county. I brought that to the board's attention regarding multi-million-dollar projects of housing developments and so forth up and down the district, and it really alerted their eyes to have some good conversation with the municipalities and the counties up and down the Front Range corridor regarding researching that if a sales tax is passed, to include those things. So thank you for bringing that to the forefront for our county, because it really enlightened me to do this at a bigger perspective for the region and for the entire state of Missouri. So thank you for that. That comments were taken very well and appreciative, and back to the information that I'm able to give. And I did give a plug for our finance director at that meeting, saying that she's one of the learning this information. So more minds are better together and collectively together. So thank you for being there and supporting me and representing this community, and also our rest of our finance organization here in Los Angeles County. On the yesterday, I was able to have a meeting with our chairman of Trura, Ed Rachel, the city of Trinidad, and a developer. It was more of a listening session of a conception apartments for a downtown building that is looking to be purchased for the commercial space at the upstairs of a 6-unit apartments. And so that was a nice little discussion with them that we presented Thursday night to their renewal for opinions and perspective. And the city of Trinidad will also go along with this organization, possibly buying this property and moving forward. There was some incentives that were requested through the city of Trinidad, which I think have been exhausted, but some other financial strategies will be implemented if this organization and this investor wants to move forward. So that's my report.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner House.
Well, congratulations on your reappointment, because it's pertinent that we have a voice at the table and I'm glad you're there.
One more, sorry. Tonight I'll be reappointed to the community renewal for a 5-year term.
Good, good. That's really good news.
Thank you.
On January 23rd and 24th, the Colorado Counties Incorporated, their new CCI director had meet and greets in my southern district. So as the southern district rep for CCI now is reappointed or reelected, and the tour began in Lamar. There's 16 counties in my district that I oversee, and I help facilitate the meetings. And it began in Lamar, was held at the Cow Palace, and the purpose of the tour was to meet and greet the new CCI director for county commissioners and for county commissioners from four county region, Baca, Bend, Broward, and Kiowa, to meet Kelly and inform her of their concerns and some of the projects that are affecting their counties, and also get legislative updates from Kelly and the CCI lobbyist Eric Bergman. A couple of issues that were discussed at length were jail standards legislation and the harmful details that are coming out. We're all going to be dealing with, and the green energy development, and specifically that dialogue revolved around transmission. There's some concern that they're not going to be able to. We've just approved a massive solar and wind project that straddles the Baca and Los Angeles County line, and for whatever reason they decided that whoever was going to put that transmission in would not do that. But Nexel has said that regardless of how that plays out, if they have to, they'll put in the transmission. So it was very concerning for those individuals. On the 24th, the second leg of our CCI Southern District Tour resumed in Pueblo. And commissioners from Pueblo, Crowley, Otero, and Los Angeles County were present. Huerfano County had a prior commitment with TPR in Colorado, I believe, that same day, and they couldn't be there. Some of the concerns of that day, the first one included a long, lengthy conversation about the marijuana industry and its negative effects. All three of our commissioners were present for that dialogue, and it was and also they discussed the instatement of the mushroom bill that passed and how the detrimental effects of marijuana is affecting the counties at this time, what they're dealing with, and the homeless increase, and the burden it's putting on our DHS, and is mushrooms going to have the same effect, and will it, maybe double? There was a lot of concerns that were brought up at that one. On the 23rd, I also attended the WOTUS conversation. I was asked to participate in the WOTUS task force, the Waters of the United States. And the purpose of this meeting was, since the Sackett ruling, when Sackett versus EPA, the decision that finally came out not long ago, the ruling was in favor of the Sackett family. EPA wanted to take jurisdiction over a gravel pit that the Sackett family was using for livestock water and their own recreational use, and EPA said, no, that's waters in the U.S. So they went all the way to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court ruled in favor of the Sackett family, and as a result of that, the permitting would, let's see here, trying to pull this up, and I'm not left. The proposed legislation would direct the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment and Water Quality Control Commission to develop permitting regulations for dredge and fill material discharges and the state waters and Water Quality Control Division to implement the permitting process. Now, CDPHE has a hard time with that here in Colorado. They want more jurisdiction over all waters of Colorado. So they came up with a permitting program to protect Colorado's wetlands and seasonal streams. And the overview of this permitting program would concentrate on Colorado's wetlands and seasonal streams. So your dry, intermittent stream beds that here in Los Angeles County we have arroyos all over the place. They want jurisdiction over those arroyos. As such, it is not focused on CDPHE assuming or receiving delegation to implement all the dredge and fill permits in Colorado. CDPHE assumes that the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers will still permit up to 50% of the Colorado streams and wetlands. CDPHE would issue state permits for the wetlands and streams not permitted by the courts. Full assumption would be very costly, and this targeted approach is estimated to cost around $600,000 to stand up the permitting program. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. And then on the let's see, on the 28th, I attended. That was Sunday. I went to the Kim Community Center. Southern Colorado Livestock Association had their annual meeting, and I reported on several different boards that and committees and task force that I belong to. And the only reason I belong to them is going to affect our county. If it's going to affect our county, I want to be the voice at the table, much like you're doing. So I gave a report on the board's task force and committees that deal with the topics that will affect the Kim area and all of southern rural Colorado: green energy development, agritourism, and push into southern Colorado, and WOTUS. And so there's a push right now to expand with the Colorado Outdoor Partnership Committee that I'm now a part of. They want to expand agritourism in southern Colorado. It's concerning to me that they don't have a representation at these meetings. They haven't been invited. 90 individuals present at the meetings with 24 major major organizations like BLM, and CDPHE, and GOCO, and DNR, and the Nature Conservancy, and Trust for Public Lands, and all these other major organizations with the directors are present making plans to implement this on private property. They say it's voluntary, but in the literature that I don't read the word voluntary anywhere in there. And so it's very concerning to me, and I wanted to make sure that the people in the Kim area were aware of this push that's coming to their town, their area soon. And we also, on the 25th, commissioners always attend the CCI Legislative Steering Committee meetings. That's where the proposed legislation is brought up before us, and we take positions on different topics. One of them that was concerning for me that looked like it was going to detrimentally affect our county was the PFAS bill. So there's chemicals inside of different chemicals that they spray on for weeds, to kill weeds. And Summit County brought this forward. Many of them in Summit County believe that the overuse of these pesticides on a golf course has contaminated the water source in Summit County. And the argument is being made that no, probably not, that a lot of it came from the mines that are in the area that contaminate the water system. But that being said, they're going to introduce Senate Bill 24081. And what this does is it undoes all ag exemptions from the last 5 years that we worked so diligently to get in. And it says no consumer items will be sold with PFAS. That's outdoor clothing, cookware, and etc. However, I found out yesterday when I voiced this concern to the sponsor of the bill. I found out yesterday that they're going to remove that piece of it, and it's just going to pertain to the pesticide. And it's going to be interesting to see, because this could eliminate any pesticide use in Colorado if it moves forward. Also, House Bill 241178 deals with pesticide and pre-exemptions, and it's in the Energy and Environment Committee at this time. And local government would have to assume control of all pesticides, and it would take out of the pesticide application statute and put it into a different area. And it has given one ag exemption, but it's not enough. And local control, our county, we already can do this, and we are doing this. And if it's broke, don't fix it. If it isn't broke, don't fix it, is what I told him yesterday on one of the calls that I was on. One other one that I would like to bring up is we've heard a lot about House Bill 241163, the pet annual registration that was going to affect even our barn cats and our chickens and whatever else they just, they assume would be your pets. And it met with so much, with so much animosity that the sponsor of the bill pulled the bill yesterday. So, and it's actually, it's been postponed indefinitely, so we don't have to deal with that one. And there's many more here, but I'll end with that one. That's my report, sir.
Thank you, sir. Briefly, the bill that Commissioner Tony has just spoke about put more protective parameters on pets than you would probably on a child that is on the foster care system. So that's why the opposition and the complexity of the bill went south. One of the most important conversations that we're having here in San Luis County is addressing Senate Bill 22114. So 22114 basically speaks about the ability for counties to identify fire suppression ponds. And so the rulemaking is pretty much completed. A county has been given the authority to identify 30 acres of ponds, not to exceed 6 acres per pond within the county, to approve those. And so I had a meeting with the Fire Chiefs Association of Los Angeles County, and, but the processes to get there are going to be complex because we have to do a needs assessment. We have to go through the state water engineer. We have to go through the process of having a public hearing, and the designation of any pond in Los Angeles County would have to be just for that. So there's a lot of hoops that we would have to go through. However, we need to have those ponds designated and identified for fire suppression, fighting purposes. One of the challenges that with this, we are hearing from other counties that to do a needs assessment and a feasibility study could be $50,000, $70,000. And then, in addition to that, any pond that is going to be identified for fire suppression, firefighting purposes, has to have all the regulations, which to include dry water hydrant, which could cost between another $50,000 to $70,000. You cannot, once the pond is identified, you cannot just back up a truck and throw your pump in the lake or the pond and fill up the truck. So there is a lot of requirements that are going to be going through. At this point in time, the county that has had one already approved, they applied for a grant to get the needs assessment, and now between the owner of the pond and the county, they were able to come up with additional money to put all the other infrastructure in place to designate that pond. Now, the ponds have to be, they would have had to be in existence prior to 1972. 1972, that's one of the regulations, that's what the statute says. So it's going to be pretty challenging, and then second, the designation is only going to be for 15 years. After 15 years, the Board of County Commissioners will have to go and review that process. So we had the state fire chief attend a meeting last Wednesday. And one of the questions that as Commissioner Tony has mentioned, one of the questions that came up is, so what happens if we don't designate any ponds within the county? Can we use any other pond that's existing? Well, they may be asking those existing ponds to be let downstream. They might ask us to destroy those ponds. That was a question. It's not a statement. We don't know. We need to research that. But when that comment came, so definitely we're going to have to identify this, because as you know, here in this part of the state, we have had our challenge with wildfires. So that's going to be one of the processes that the fire chiefs will be working on, and going through the assessment and see how the county and our community can partner and make this, if indeed they choose to go this route. Another point that this Board of County Commissioners sent a letter to the Honorable Denver Mayor, Mr. Mike Johnston. And so on the letter, basically we're asking him to use his voice to oppose the prohibition of slaughterhouses, meat processing plants in the Denver County and City of Denver. So we're asking him to do that because there is a proposition that's going to be a ballot initiative in 2024. It's going to be only for Denver, the city and county of Denver. So the voters will get to determine if Superior processing plant, which they process lamb from throughout the state of Colorado, Wyoming, Kansas, Nebraska, Texas. They're the only plant that pretty much does that. There is a ballot initiative going forward that will ask the voters to eliminate that plant. And that is wrong, because it's privately owned. It is owned by the employees. It is owned by a big majority of our minority employees. So we sent a letter to the mayor. Hopefully, he'll respond to that. We asked several counties to join us in the effort, because this is a whole attack on agriculture. In the event that this happens, now our farmers that are actually producing sheep locally, they're going to have to send them out to Kansas. They're going to send them out to who knows where, thus increasing the cost. And the one that is going to pay basically is going to be the consumer. Now, the Denver initiative, we had a meeting last week again, and we have had these meetings with the opponents, basically of this processing plant. it's a processing plant, but the proponents are calling it a slaughterhouse, inhumane, so on. So this is going to be a thing of feelings and games. And so the meeting that we had there's going to be a huge campaign throughout the entire state to ask all the ag producers to stand up and basically oppose and speak against the abandoning of the slaughterhouse. So that is going to be one of the biggest challenges that the state of Colorado has, because if it happens here in Colorado, the proponents are actually saying they're going to take it probably throughout the entire state of Colorado, and they're going to take it nationwide, and it's going to impact the world as we know it. So with that, I have, I want to thank Commissioner Luis Lopez. He invited Mr. Doran Campanite to participate on an independent panel to assess and interview the executive director applicants for the Council of Government. So thank you for that, sir. We met last week. We had a very good discussion with them, and I believe you all made your selection and recommendations.
The finalist has been selected. It hasn't been approved by the Board of the Council of Governments at this point, but the final selection was Mr. Brian Blasey. So thank you, Mr. Norkamp, for your input, and for our other three panelists who were involved in this process. The Council of Governments had a two-step development in this. We had a first group of individuals for the first round of interviews, and the second round was held by another panel of 5 individuals. So thank you very much for your input. And Mr. Commissioner Haas was able to join us for the meet and greet as well and give his input regarding the applicants that were before the selection was made. So thank you guys very much.
Thank you. Let me close with this. One of the questions that we often get is how do we get involved in the process of working and helping our counties? I would invite all of you to pay attention. Right now in the Colorado counties, we monitor between 80 and 100 bills in any given legislative session, and those are directly impacting counties, whether it is attempting to take local control from counties, whether it is pushing unfunded mandates, or completely eliminating counties from being at the table in a honest and robust conversation. So if you go to the Colorado General Assembly, I was on the last few days, I've been listening to a lot of the bills. It is absolutely crazy to sit there. I mean, the testimony that is going on. And if you feel led, I mean, testify on some of those legislative bills, because they're so imperative and important that they hear from communities and from rural Colorado. So that would be my report. And now, once we're going to jump onto section 4, elected officials updates. I have received a message from Sheriff. There's no updates. Do we have anyone from the Assessor's Office? Anyone from the Clerk and Recorder's Office? Anyone from the Treasurer's Office? District Attorney? Or the Coroner? Here and there. Now we're going to go section 5, presentations. John, welcome, good morning. Mr. John Sanders with CGON.
Good morning, gentlemen and ladies. Got some interesting information. So what you've talked about here with the legislature fits right in with what we're experiencing right now. I want to give you an update on the grant. So CCOM, in conjunction with SCED, had applied for a grant up Highway 12 to try and get fiber to the home to a number of those residents up there, the businesses and residents. We were unsuccessful on that one. We're waiting. We will have a debrief with the broadband office. They'll tell us what we can do to improve that specific grant so that we can reapply later, maybe make it a better application for it. So that's pending. So again, our plan is we would like to do that. I would like to say that I got a document yesterday that CDOT put out. There's a bill to stop CDOT from charging a right-of-way fee on an annual basis. CCOM had used an example from Los Angeles County of building from Kim to Branson to Trinidad, saying how much it's going to cost the residents. Well, CDOT took it and they've put their own spin on it, and they make it sound as if, oh, this $10,000 a year, that's just a drop in the bucket. That, you know, that this is just nothing. You know, so why are they complaining about paying this fee? When I calculated out based on the maps from the state broadband office maps of how many potential residences and homes there are along there, along that path, we figured we could pick up 60 to 120 connections out there. And so based on that and their number that the CDOT, the Transportation Commission, has accepted and approved for a 3 cent per foot per year right-of-way fee, it's going to cost those residents about $13.42 per month. Again, it's, you know, it's not a drop in the bucket. So this is serious. They're actually having testimony tomorrow on that specific bill. I will be up there and testify on that. There's also, we found out late last night, the Joint Technology Committee has proposed a bill that would, I haven't had a chance to read it over, it came in late and I left early this morning. From what I talked to some people while I was on the way here, it would create an enterprise in the broadband office, and they would be in charge of all the CDOT right-of-way. You know, who gets to go in there and you know, fees and so forth like that. They actually have a cap on that of $100 million, which for an enterprise within the state is typically very high. Most of those have maybe like a $5 million cap, some maybe a 10. This is $100 million, so this is extremely high. So it's very concerning about this. We have spoken, we had dinner with Representative Winters last week, and he's well aware of this and on board, as well as Senator Pelton. And we've worked very closely. CCI has been very involved with this one bill that we're going to testify on tomorrow. Again, our goal is we want to get some things done here. We'd like to build up Highway 12, and ultimately we would like to build from Kim to Branson to Trinidad to get those people, you know, the broadband that they need.
So, John, we had an opportunity, Attorney General Phil Weiser was in Trinidad a while back, and at a public meeting, he and I had a conversation, and I asked him, this 3 cents per foot, mile, whatever that would be, I said, would you consider working with CDOT and asking them that we have some communities that are underserved, that financially don't have the capacity, nor do they have density to buy 10,000 connections to make it basically the economies of scale. So he went back and had a conversation with the proper CDOT representative, and he had one of the Attorney General's call us back to confirm that they were working on the process. So let's keep pushing on that, because Commissioner Lopez and all of us, the three of us here, we have worked with the TPRs and through Terry Hart to make that very clear that as long as we have these underserved communities, they should be looking at a different graduated rate to make it affordable to our citizens. So just know that those conversations have been taking place on behalf of this board through CCI directly to those individuals at the member.
That's great, and we appreciate that support again. You know, calculating it out on the maps we've already done the engineering on, again, it's just a couple $100 under $10,000 per year that would have to be paid to CDOT for that right of way. And again, it just makes it unaffordable then to do that. Plus, they charge 5 cents a foot for the upfront cost on there. So again, that adds cost to the initial construction. Some of the material that came out, they have some prices of what it costs to construct fiber. That may be true in downtown Denver. Those prices per foot, they're much less than that down here, especially when you look at a bigger project like this. If you're doing just like a block long in Denver, yeah, it might cost you that much per foot in downtown Denver. Out when we get out in rural areas like this, the cost isn't near as much, because you're doing one in scale. You've got contractors there for a long period of time, and you get a better price. Plus, there's not all the obstacles to construct it out there.
Wasn't there incentive already provided to do this? And now CDOT wants to add this additional fee on that?
CDOT wants to add this fee on. They've never given a good answer, and there's even question whether that's legal or not. If you look at the Public Utility Commission, they consider telecom a utility still, and they are still regulated. So CCOM, in fact, we are a regulated utility. We're untariffed on any of the products we sell, but we are a regulated and we're under their jurisdiction and authority. The same as like San Isabel Electric down here in Electric and Southeast Power, the cooperatives. They're under the PUC's jurisdiction. They're just not tariffed, on what rates they charge. CDOT is claiming because they're not, that they no longer have the right to be in the right of way. But in neighbors, they're saying it's because it's broadband, that's not telecom. Even though by putting it in, we would be selling telecom products too. For example, CCOM, we sell phone lines for people who want one in the house. Some people still want to have the security of a landline in the house. It's not a VoIP line, it's a traditional landline phone line. And so they're saying, because you sell broadband on this, that it is no longer a product, that it excludes you from being a utility. And they haven't answered. I've asked them that question for clarification on that, and yet it's been over a year, they haven't answered it.
So, John, to switch back to your discussion on the failed grant that was not obtained this past year, moving forward, does that grant require you to team up with a nonprofit government agency within the region? And if so, have you reached out? Are you going to continue to work with SCID, or are you reaching out to other organizations such as possibly the local South Central Council of Governments?
That is in question right now. So depending, there are some upcoming grants with the state. It's technically the last round on that, and this the Colorado Broadband Deployment Board. It's set to sunset this year. Odds are they're going to continue that in some shape or form. They may move it over as a different process into the broadband office, which those state funds, again, the current regulations, the way they read, it's a provider has to do that on their own. So we had actually looked at applying for Highway 12 with that same grant. There's not enough funding in the pool that we needed to be in this round to make it work. It's due here in a couple of weeks, so we won't be applying for that one. We will look though on the ones that do give points for a public-private partnership. We will be looking for other, maybe it's the county that we work with or some other entity like that. It may or may not be SCID, it could be somebody else. We're open to working with whomever we need to put a plan together to get them in.
The reason I mentioned that, John, is because we all know the ups and downs of SCID over the years. As a non-voting member of Los Angeles County, meetings aren't well attended, was less attended at all at this point, and their executive director keeps changing probably on an annual basis. So the continuity of that organization and the validity of it doesn't seem to be very strong. So we're recommending possibly working outside of that organization in Los Angeles County that covers the entire area from Barrow to Trinidad to Branson and Kim, of another local agency such as the Council of Governments and the Transportation Unit, which we also help along with the Transportation Highway to Communications.
We'd be more than happy to work with them on that, and I can work with Phil to get contacts, and we can have those conversations. Again, some grants give preference points if it's a public-private partnership along those lines. So you've got a provider and some kind of a public entity working together to get, they can do that. We haven't seen the scoring for the one that will be put out this summer yet, the full details of it. But again, we're more than open, and we'd be glad to work with them on that.
Please reach out and exhaust every avenue we possibly could for being successful in this next round of obtaining any funding for our community members. I appreciate it.
We would, again, we're glad to do that, and again, we'd like to get those two pieces built that are here in Los Angeles County, and they're on our radar as important places that we'd like to get served. Any other questions I can answer for you?
We'd like more of your testimony.
Thank you. Yeah, we've heard that it's most likely going to be killed there. But we'll see. We'll see what happens tomorrow. We're working with the members of that committee specifically. One's out of Pueblo, one of the senators. We've talked again, and as well as several others on that committee.
Well, John, in 7 years, we've been working on this over the years with South Central Council of Governments and broadband. So I appreciate you as always for coming and giving us some updates.
Anytime.
Yes, sir.
A couple of questions. You said that the SCED and CCOM grant was denied, and you're looking at working with them to apply again for either a similar grant or did they tell you why it was denied?
They haven't yet. They said the score didn't meet. I had a conversation with one of the guys because two of them, there was a threshold for a score that, whatever threshold above got, and they hit money, got money. I heard one of the two that CCOM and SCED had applied for was literally about 1 point or so away, very close. Again, we're waiting to have the debrief with the broadband office so we get full details of why we didn't and what we can do to improve it and improve the score.
And then secondly, does it look like these funds, and I think you touched upon it, that you said it looked like it may be renewed at the state level. If I recall correctly, there was some federal monies also to help with broadband placement in underserved communities. And we know that especially out east, that's all underserved. Highly underserved, for lack of a better way to describe it. Are those funds going to run out before this gets done?
I don't think so. Like the state has what they call a critically unserved areas. They define that in statute. And that's right now the pool of money they have for that. The board designates a percentage that are guaranteed to go to critically unserved areas. There's not enough in that pool right now for the critically unserved areas to do either one of those. So again, we're not going to be able to go after it this round with the state funding. There is BEAD money that's federal money. The state, I think, has 30 million that they're going to have available. The grant applications for that will open up this summer. Probably they're talking like July timeframe approximately. And then again, they'll hope to have selections and get awards out by the end of the year.
And then the BEAD monies, they are not to hook up houses, they are to get the lines ran.
That's for, it's actually hook up houses.
It is.
Yeah. And it will pay for a connection along the way. The people in the big communities, I don't think they have the concept. Out here, even though, yes, we're maybe running a line from Kim to Branson to Trinidad, there's people who hook up along the way there too. So it's not just strictly a middle mile or a final mile project, not like you get within a town. You run it town to town, and nobody hooks up in between there. This you have to hook up. It's a combination type line that we run like that. So Washington doesn't understand that. We call it fiddle miles, kind of a hybrid of final mile and middle mile. So we call those lines like that, fiddle mile. But again, we're going to work to see if we can get that and get those in there. It will facilitate it if it's those funding opportunities will pay for a line like that.
Okay, Jack, would it make a difference since we have school districts both on Highway 12 and you have Kim and Branson on this side and Merrill on the west side? Does that make put any more additional points to get the project advanced?
Yes, it does. So we can do that. I believe there's a fire station in Branson. We can add those, what they consider community anchor institutions, say these anchor institutions are unserved and need to be served. So we get points for that. Technically, right now, Primero is served. We have connectivity up to them, but there are some of those little fire departments up there. And people don't realize broadband is important for those fire departments. That's how they do a lot of their training now. So when they go in there to do their training on a regular basis, a lot of it's done over the internet now. They don't have a video or a speaker or whatever.
Our county road bridge shops are also in those locations as well, that can be serviced.
That's great to know because again, we can use those, any county office, a city office, whatever like that. Those anchor institutions are important to list out on there. So we might get with Mr. Dornkamp here to get a list of all of those and all of those locations. Again, we can put that on and say, hey, we're going to add on this many more community anchor institutions.
critically underserved frontier county.
Yes,
So you can use that too.
yes,
I
exactly.
use it a lot on the EIF board, so.
Yeah, we've used that, we've used that term.
John, thank you so much.
Thank you guys, we always appreciate working with you, and I appreciate the efforts of CCI and what they've done and your support with that, and their support for this, this current bill, this Senate Bill 1. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Good to see you, John.
At this time, I'm going to make an announcement regarding, regardless of where we are, 10 o'clock, we're going to have a public hearing. At 10 a.m., we have an application in front of us, so this is scheduled exactly to be at that time. So we'll interrupt the agenda at that point in time to join into this public hearing. Next, we're going to have a public comment. 3 minutes is what we have. Let me go first on Mr. Murphy.
Good morning, commissioners and staff, excuse me, and for the people watching. My name is Thomas Murphy. I'm the owner of Miller Murphy Funeral Home, Trinidad Times TV. My family has been here since November 1981. Despite the allegations against Dominic Junie Verker, he has not resigned. So now what? Well, there's talk of legislation for funeral directors, funeral homes, and actually even coroners at the legislative level. But that could be years before that happens. We know now that the CBI and DORA, along with the Attorney General, who are the attorneys for DORA, are looking into this and they're investigating. It's our understanding that the FBI is also aware and watching. And if this evolves into civil racketeering, this will cross into RICO charges, which will allow the FBI to get involved. We are thankful for all these organizations for their involvement. However, we believe that this is so complex, and it could take a long time, because there are a lot of people, a lot of different government organizations involved. It could take too long. So now what? This Sunday is going to be 2 years since Dave Shire was. Do you know there was never a criminal investigation opened? The Huff family doesn't know whether or not the body that she received, Sherry Ellis, whose father was exhumed Frederick Huff on September 6th, doesn't know if that's actually her father that she received. Timothy Radford's body still hasn't been found. This last month I had a call from a gentleman whose brother died January 8th, and after he decided to come to me instead of the other funeral home, he was told by the coroner that if the adult children couldn't be found, that they were just going to take the body and bury him in a cemetery in Honey, I guess. I don't know if that's your pauper cemetery or not. Now, a friend of mine told me that she spoke to the El Paso County coroner, and she said, how long do you keep bodies, and how many of them are unclaimed? And in El Paso County, they always find the bodies. They don't need a pauper cemetery, always. So now what? We are cheering on the CBI and DORA and the Attorney General and the FBI. And we believe that in order to get to the bottom of this, that eventually a state grand jury investigation may be necessary. Next year, the year after that, or sometime in the future, legislation may catch up with what we're about to do. We're going to raise the bar in rural Colorado on electing a coroner to office with a higher standard of qualifications. It's not required in legislation, but we're going to do it. How are we going to do that? I'm announcing right now that we're going to begin a recall of Dominic Junie Verker, one of the most morally and ethically bankrupt human beings, I'm almost done, ever to serve in office in Los Angeles County.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy.
Los Angeles County is going to pay for it, because that's the way it goes.
Thank you. Mr. Howitt.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Pat Howlett, President of, for this meeting, the Los Angeles County and Trinidad Chamber of Commerce. Commissioner staff, John, congratulations again for CCOM winning the 3rd year in a row for Best of the Best on the Internet. I'm happy to kind of report that we're out of crisis. We won't be dissolved. We were there. Okay, if the rumor was out there, it was actually come true. We've paid all of our bills to date, all of our debts to date, and with combined effort for a lot of different folks who really believe in an active, vibrant, focused Chamber of Commerce. We sadly are still without our executive director, but we are working really hard to try and make that part-time position something we can afford, and our previous ED would certainly have the first opportunity towards that, and she's considering it. We need to be financially responsible to our members the same as you are to our citizens. We've organized, since this time, we organized a holiday food drive. In the fall, we partnered with Elaine and Marty of the EM Pantry, and one great thing about what they do is they bring the food pantry to the county residents, so folks that have a hard time getting in. We've organized 2 downtown sidewalk, gutter, and alley cleanups, and we're working closer with PWP to coordinate when they do their cleanups and when there's events, so that our city looks like we expect it to look clean and orderly. We received a grant from the lodging tax in the city to pay local musicians to play in local venues during this slow season. It's been well received by a lot of folks. We want folks 90 minutes away to understand that Trinidad is the place to come on the weekend. And there's also a benefit to the folks that live here. People ask about that lodging tax and how can that affect us. Well, it's affecting local businesses right now because they're having music in their place, feet on the street, downtown, paying money, pulling out their wallets. And we get to enjoy it as well. We've done more ribbon cuttings in the last 6 months than in a very, very long time. And businesses that have sworn off the chamber are joining us. And we have very motivated young professionals and seasoned retirees joining our ambassador program. We'll have 3 new seats, board members joining us this week, within the next week or so. And you will be impressed with the folks that are stepping forward to serve. We have a luncheon coming up. We'll probably change it a little bit, but we're going to be providing, everybody asks, what do I get for my membership? We've worked out an arrangement with a health organization to provide a free 14 assessment blood test, something that will cost $100 at a clinic to all of our members, and we're going to try and extend that to employees, and we're going to try and extend that out to the county. Health is important to the chamber. My last update, I said we were going to rebuild relationships with people, and we have. We think we have a better relationship with this body. We submitted our grant application to the county, and unlike in the past, it's not a handout application. It really is a project that we believe you will appreciate because it'll have a material and positive impact on Trinidad County businesses that we've really neglected for a long period of time. 100% of the focus is on county and businesses out there. I can report that the future of the Trinidad Los Angeles County Chamber of Commerce will extend past our 143 year. And the future, although very challenging, has a tint of light to it right now, which is good. And if you have any questions for me, not here, we've got a public hearing coming up, but you know I'm available to you. And I'm really pleased to be served by you guys, both as a citizen here and our cooperation with the rest of the chamber, what you do. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Alden. Appreciate it. We have a 2 minutes, so we're going to be going into a public hearing, so we'll take a very short 2-minute recess. Anyone that needs to use the facilities, we have 2 minutes. Be back on time.
Recording stopped.
Call the race.
Yeah. He's a good guy. That's a good pick. Los Angeles,
They just took a 2-minute break. Say that again? I missed who's. Oh no, they didn't want. Rosemary was here, but they didn't want to talk. Yeah, Rosemary was here. So. Okay. All right, you bet. Bye.
Are you with Maverick, sir?
Yes.
Recording in progress.
Good morning, everyone. It is 10:01 on this Tuesday, February 6, 2024. I want to welcome all of you to the Board of County Commissioners' regular meeting for this public hearing scheduled today at 10 a.m. I'm calling this meeting to order. So this, the application that we're going to be hearing today, application 2024-002 by Maverick Inc., is requested to build a 5,982 square foot convenience store with fueling stations for both small and large vehicles. The store will include convenience store items with a seating area for customers. The site includes 38 parking spaces for customers. The location is in section 30, Township 32, Range 63, on the tract of land in part of the southwest, northeast, and northwest, southeast containing 4.76 acres. The proposed special use permit will not change the zoning, but if granted, will allow for a non-conforming use within the zones, not otherwise allowed with a special permit. Having read that, let me remind anyone that is going to be speaking on behalf of this project or against this project to do so in a very respectful manner. Any and all information provided to this Board of County Commissioners must be germane to the project. At any point in time, I, as the chairman of the board, will get us back on track if the conversation detracts or goes in a different direction. Any and all participants here will have to be sworn in for public record and stating your name and your position. And at this point, I'm going to call on our Executive Director of Planning, Mr. Lucero. Please come forward.
Solemnly affirm under penalty of perjury the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
And please state your name and position.
Robert Lucero, Planning and Land Use Director. The Planning Commission heard this application from Maverick Incorporated on January the 8th. The proposed project is, location is just north of the rest of where the enters on the Almoro. It's not a truck stop. It's not they're limited on space, so it's, keep in mind, it's not a truck stop, it's not gonna be a lot of Planning Commission, we also got a letter from the city, because the applicant has requested to be able to look into the city sewer and water and gas. City sent a letter requesting that the pre-annexation agreement be implemented if it's approved. And the applicant at the Planning Commission meeting said they had no problem with that. Planning Commission made the recommendation to approve with the condition that annexation will be entered into the city. I think currently Mr. Ryder is in contact with CDOT. At the time when we had our Planning Commission meeting, CDOT was still doing their traffic impact, so they weren't prepared. I don't know if they've been updated on that. Also, Mr. Ryder is meeting with San Isabel today, so he can bring you up to date on all that information. All the adjacent landowners were notified. There's letters that they were all sent out. Received no comment back from them other than one of the adjacent landowners was at the Planning Commission meeting because he had some property up there and he wanted to know what the CDOT was going to require them to do. But at that time, Mr. Weber gave them over the hand to do their study.
So, Mr. Lucero, on that, so the existing exit for exit 18, it's going to be used to exit and then turn back around and access the proposed business.
Yes.
Okay. The CDOT, it's mentioned here in the document that, and then we'll ask the question later on, that CDOT will probably have some requirements, if any, and we'll hear that again. Is that, my question right now, is it premature having all that information, not having access to all that information, i.e. the annexation? I know there is a pre-agreement of annexation, because otherwise, in the event that the property was not annexed, would the property sustain, and I don't know if the proponent later on would want to put a septic system in there, should they be denied access to the city's connectivity as well?
Yeah, I guess that would, I mean, the applicant could probably answer that from there, like what his options are if they were denied city sewer and to look into the system. The pre-annex, anytime to annex, I think you have to have 1/6 of the property has to be contiguous with city-owned property. Okay, and I'm not sure if a road, if it counts as a connecting point. It's just a process that they'll have to do. They can still, they probably, more likely they'll still allow them to hook in, but they won't be able to find an annexation if they're approved for the city water, city sewer. Yeah. Now, I don't know if they were denied, I don't know if they would be able to operate. I don't think they have enough room to put a septic system in, you know, for something like that. So I think you can probably update you on most of that.
Not at this time, Mr. Lucero, but please hold steady if you have any future questions I have. I do have a few questions, but I think they'll be directed to the applicant.
Well, Mr. Ryder, good morning. Please raise your right hand.
Solemnly affirm under penalty of perjury, the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Okay.
And please state your name.
Matt Ryder, Site Development Manager for Maverick.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Welcome. So go ahead, explain to us the project. Certainly, we kind of have all that information in front of us. So the questions that I have that I asked Mr. Lucero. So what happens if the city was to say, no, you have, and I don't know, if the 1/6 of the property is actually adjacent to, that's going to be the investigative research that your company or you have to do. But if they were to say no, would you connect to the sewer or the utilities? What would be the next step on the property?
So, I want to make sure I understand your question. If we weren't able to connect to sewer at all, we would have to reconfigure the site plan and downsize our offerings to allow for room for the leach field and for a reserve space for the leach field. We're constrained on either side by arroyos, so our site plan is pretty much flanked on each side, and really there isn't any room for expansion. But we are in receipt of a pre-annexation agreement from the city of Trinidad, and we're reviewing it, and we'll provide them comments back later today or tomorrow. I just kind of followed up with my team before this meeting. So right now, the city has indicated that we can connect, and we'd have to pay either out of jurisdiction connection fees and utility rates for sewer, water, and natural gas. Once at 1/6 qualifier happens, then we would be paid within city rates. No indication that the road is considered as part of that contiguity to our property. So right now, it's a pre-annexation agreement where once we do expand, or the city does expand, we would automatically become annexed into their jurisdiction. But right now, it's just an agreement for pre-annexation, and that's our, how should I say it? That's the ability to use their utilities right now. So we did a pre-application meeting with them, and they said to connect to our utilities, we would want to enter into a pre-annexation agreement. We had no objections. So we're just reviewing the language of that agreement right now.
Okay, Chairman. Thank you for being here this morning with us. And a couple of questions I have is regarding the annexation. When is that meeting taking place that you know of?
If everything goes according to plan, February 20th, City Council. So 2 weeks from today.
Council meeting. And so, continuing on that train of thought, if it's approved, there is a county road that would have access to the location. Would that now encompass the city, the annexation as well, that county road, and be no longer jurisdiction of Los Angeles County for maintenance of that road that you're aware of, or has that been discussed?
I'm not aware of it changing jurisdictions.
So we have,
I don't have an answer.
other than the site plan that you have presented, that's all that's being looked at being annexed, not the responsibility of the actual road to and from I-25 to the location. Correct. Okay. And then also on the CDOT study, Mr. Lucero discussed, have you been in contact with Adam Lancaster with CDOT? What is their recommendation at this time regarding the offer?
So CDOT does not have jurisdiction over access for our proposed site plan. However, we are going to have to cross the right of way to bring sewer, water, and gas across our property. The city requires that we bring the utilities all the way to the other end of our property for future expansion. So CDOT has provided our engineer with comments regarding the utility crossings, and we've resubmitted yesterday and are waiting on their second round of review comments.
Did they state why they don't have jurisdiction? Because of multiple off-ramps throughout the state being developed, I think, by your company as well. They've been made to make the improvements.
Yes.
Is it determined why this one is not under jurisdiction?
I believe because we're taking access off County Road 71.1, it falls with outside of that certain linear feet threshold. Area of influence, I think is how they phrase it.
Because I spoke with Jennifer Sparks, our Region 2 Director, yesterday regarding this application, and she wasn't aware of it at this point either. So my next question would be, have you reached out to Mr. Dornkamp of Road Bridge regarding access and getting permit into the county, or not at this point?
So not yet. Upon outcome of this meeting, we'll apply for building and access.
Thank you. And then one last question, Chairman, regarding the annexation. I serve on the Trinidad Renewal Authority Board of Directors as well. Underneath the Trinidad Renewal Authority, the entire city limits encompasses our jurisdiction for Trinidad Renewal Authority. Under the state legislation that was passed a few years ago, I believe whenever there's that changing of the mapping of urban renewal, which in this case would be the entire city limits, there has to be consensus discussion with the Trinidad Renewal Authority, the City of Trinidad, and the county, and all the taxing districts that are included in that. I'm throwing you in the weeds now, sorry about that. But I would appreciate if that conversation is held with the city on your behalf, the organization regarding the Trinidad Renewal Authority, and invite the Renewal Authority, Chairman Ed Grego, to this discussion on how, if this applies, it may not apply, but it very possibly could. And the reason why it's set up that way is to protect the other taxing districts such as schools, ambulance, fire, county, city, municipalities, regarding some larger infrastructure that would go under the tax increment funding narrative. So it could be effective for property taxes. I'm not sure you're familiar with urban renewal or not, but it is a mechanism to sustain development and help that developer reimburse itself through this tax increment funding. And so that also has to go before, I believe, under legislation to make sure that it is approved by the districts in that community. Because they'll still receive the base, but they won't receive any improvements on that same level for a certain amount of years. So a mouthful, sorry. Just reach out to the city manager to see if urban renewal needs to be involved in this process for their mapping of the urban renewal district. And if so, do we need to reach out to all the taxing entities in that region for this to occur?
Certainly can do that, yeah. I have noted down.
That makes sense to you. It's a lot.
A little bit of it. I'm assuming that the city manager and city planner will be aware of what I'm asking for.
They go to
facilitate.
Right, facilitate with urban renewal. I can't on behalf of renewal, because I'm in the capacity as county commissioner here. Sure. I'm not sitting as that board member right now, but I know way back here somewhere that could be an issue, and I wouldn't like to see that hinder this development.
Okay, yeah, definitely do that.
Karen, thank you.
Yes, thank you. I have another question is, so from the, once you exit 18 and you go north, what is the distance on that county road, perhaps what is the distance and what kind of a condition is that county road to provide access to the proposed business? From the state junction, as you go in, going south, you will be going into the rest area, but then you turn north. What are we looking at? And is that, my question is, what is the membrane of that road currently?
I had informed Mr. Ryder that when he meets with Mr. Dorncamp for the access permits, I showed him where he can apply for the access permit. If there's a possibility, then you have to do some improvements, whether it be widening or anything on County Road 71-1. But Mr. Dorncamp can probably give him more information as to what it needs to be done.
Okay, so Mr. Dorncamp, would you please raise your right hand?
Solemnly affirm under penalty of perjury, the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Please state your name and position.
Phil Dorncamp, Los Angeles County Administrator.
So, Mr. Dorncamp, when it comes to issuing that permit, and then of course, the question will be for you, but the distance of that, if there's an agreement between the proponent and the county for the road to be widened, would Maverick be willing to cover the cost of those improvements? And is that, Mr. Dorncamp, to you, within the process of extending business license, i.e. permit?
I think, Commissioner, our authority, our being road and bridges authority would be whether or not we issue a access permit. I think part of the access permit process, if we determine that the road needs to be widened so the trucks can make their wide swings, then that's what we will require as part of the access permit.
And now we know that you're gonna have, basically, we're gonna, the county, that road has to have access for incoming and outgoing traffic. Right now, perhaps it may not be, I haven't really been out there, but certainly those improvements need to be considered as we move forward.
Yes, sir, they will.
Thank you. And so from your perspective, Mr. Ryder, is Maverick willing to cover the expense should any updates and upgrades might need to be done to that road?
Yes, it's typical for jurisdictions to request improvements to the road frontage based off of our proposed impact to the road system. So, yes.
Any other wishes? Commissioner Hess, somebody? Commissioner Lopez?
On the site map that we have here, I'm trying to envision if city property or annexation is not allowed for the utilities, for the simple fact, as I certainly for health as well, Mr. Ryder. And when you mentioned leach fields, that falls under the Department of Public Health and permitting through them. Do you see this possibly being a no-go if the city utilities is not available to you? My perspective, that's what I would see, because the demand mass would not be, as a businessman, would be large enough for this operation and investment to be profitable, in my opinion. Is that what Maverick is pretty much dependent on at this point?
Yeah, so we feel comfortable enough that we will connect to sewer, but if there was a confirmed no, we probably would not move forward. Because our site plan having 12 fueling positions out front and 4 positions out back is based off of demographics, population, and traffic data. So if we had to reduce any of those offerings to make room for leach fields, it won't be feasible for us. So we wouldn't.
So whether they annex you or not, the bottom line is pretty much the sewage capacity and water moving forward, which it looks like they'll probably be amenable to.
Correct.
So the next question following that, if annexation and the whole urban renewal is a non-issue, non-starter, the business practice out there at this location is going to be a typical convenience store type gas station. Would there be any type of liquor sales as well completed in this operation?
Yeah, there would be, and we have a licensing department that would apply for tobacco and alcohol and business license and all that. But we do offer canned beverages, and beer. We have a walk-in beer fridge. We don't serve hard alcohol or liquors, vodka, or anything like that. It's more canned malt beverages that we serve. But that would be part of our offering here.
And then if it's not annexed, that would come through the clerk recorder's office at this point in time, and then the board of county commissioners.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how, if it's not annexed to the city, it would come through the county.
That's likely then the next
If
process.
it's not being annexed. Okay, thank you. I have another question, Jim.
Thank you. I don't have any other questions. Have a seat, and let me now call on anybody else that would like to provide a comment to support this project. Anyone online or anyone present? So, hearing none, let me also ask for anyone that would like to provide comment on this public hearing in opposition of this proposed application. Hearing none,
Commissioners,
Chairman, I have a couple of legal questions. I would like to take a 5-minute, 10-minute recess for advice by counsel, if we may do so.
We may.
Entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Thank you, and then we'll come back and render a decision.
Second motion.
Commissioner Hess,
Yes.
Commissioner Luis Lopez,
Yes.
Commissioner Felix.
Yes.
Recording stopped.
Could everybody vacate the room for another, please? Executive session is supposed to be executive, and there was a scary involved.
I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna need a minute to reestablish. Once you guys start up again.